Own up to reality. 2020 Democrats urged to confront U.S. racial divide. In August 2016, Donald Trump stood before an overwhelmingly white crowd in Dimondale, Michigan, and asked black people for their votes. "What the hell do you have to lose?" he growled. He went on to accuse Hillary Clinton of caring more for immigrants than for black Americans, who he said were forced to live like refugees in their own country. After 4 years of this week, it was evident that at least among members of the NAACP, the nation's oldest and largest civil rights organization, voters did not need 4 years to make up their minds. A man who entered national politics by promoting the false birther conspiracy against the nation's first black president, has, in office, equivocated in his response to a white supremacist march in Charlottesville. Asked why at the association's annual convention in Detroit this week, a unanimous vote recommended the impeachment of Trump, who the NAACP president, Derek Johnson, said led one of the most racist and xenophobic administrations since the Jim Crow era. The pattern of Trump's misconduct is unmistakable and has proven time and time again that he is unfit to serve as the president of this country, Johnson said. Appearing at the convention, the former Vice President Joe Biden cast the 2020 election as a battle for the soul of this nation. Other members of the yet disagreement remained over whether Trump is as Biden has argued, or if he is a symptom of more deeply rooted social and political ills. "A country that elects a man like Donald Trump has serious problems," said the Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. "And we need to make." After Clinton's defeat, many top Democrats determined Trump had won because white working-class white voters abandoned the party as a result of its emphasis on race and identity. To beat him, Trump spent the final months of the 2018 midterm campaign whipping up fear about an immigrant caravan at the southern border and the MS-13 gang. But Democrats won. Now, though, in the wake of Trump's incendiary attacks on the Congresswomen Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Ayanna Pressley, leading voices of the progressive left, many black leaders and liberal activists are pushing candidates to more aggressively combat the president and his combustible politics of racial division. The former NAACP president Cornell Brooks said Trump was playing a dangerous game and implored Democrats not to treat 2020 as race neutral. "You cannot pretend," he said, "that healthcare, highways, jobs and climate change, that those are issues of consequence, but that hate crimes, xenophobia, children in migrant camps and the targeting of women of color are not real issues. That is a strategy." Stacey Abrams, the 2018 Democratic nominee for governor in Georgia, advocated a new approach. "We're taught that you could only win people of color, you can only turn African Americans by losing white voters," she said. But we didn't believe. Abrams lost narrowly, but in Detroit she argued that her historic candidacy, she would have been the first black female governor of a U.S. state, had helped reshape the political landscape before the arrival of long-term demographic change, through which Americans of color are projected to become a majority around 2050. African American votes are critical already. They formed a strong. At a Pennsylvania rally after his election, Trump thanked black voters who stayed home, saying they were as those who voted for him. In Detroit, Marjorie Innocent, an NAACP staffer from Baltimore, said Trump had handed Democrats a come-to-Jesus moment. Under the Obama years, there was a false sense of security around the progress we had achieved and the extent to which, collectively, we were on a similar page, she said. The Trump administration, the public remains deeply divided over race, but attitudes have shifted. In 2017, accordingly, the party has introduced and detailed proposals to address racial and maternal health care, to overhaul the criminal justice system and to expand access to public housing, improve accountability in policing, invest in education and explore reparations for the descendants of slaves. But race and racism remain hot issues, and the NAACP Presidential Forum provided a preview of battles to come in the second Democratic debate, which will take place in Detroit next week. Biden said he was not going to be as polite this time. In the first debate, Biden, who enjoys support among African American voters, is also exchanging barbs with New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, the other prominent black candidate. On the sidelines of Biden, who has criminal justice reform legislation to undo some of the effects of that bill, refuted the accusation and then unloaded on Booker, attacking his record as mayor of Newark. Biden's campaign. Biden also reminded NAACP members that Obama had not been forced to pick him for vice president. "They did a significant background check on me," he said. "I doubt he would have." On the debate stage on Wednesday, Biden will stand between Harris and Booker. White House officials and Trump allies argue that voters will be persuaded by economic gains. The president but NAACP members said such efforts pale in comparison to the harm Trump has done. Have risen. "Our interest in this conversation is not political," said Johnson, the NAACP president. "Our interest in this." Trump hopes moves, such as his attack on the progressive congresswomen, can drive up white turnout while depressing Democratic support among moderates and independents. Some think that, but on Saturday, in tweets, and calling his district a rat-infested mess, the president did it again.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.